Marionetter. Pretty much how he works: when he's normal summon, you can set an Altergeist trap directly from your deck to your spell and trap zone. So instant +1. And unfortunately, there's only 2 cards that you can use with this effect. So we'll go into that a little bit more after we understand how this card works. So his second effect, you can send an Altergeist card, so that means spell, trap, monster, to the graveyard to special summon an Altergeist monster from your graveyard. So interesting. So this seems like the initiator. He's an instant +1, so he seems like something you can splash into a deck so far. Him being a spellcaster, a light spellcaster at that, you are able to attribute him for cards such as Silent Magician. So before we go into the next monster here, I do want to talk about the spells and traps. Sorry, the traps. Altergeist Emulate Elf. It's kind of unique in its own right. There's only a few trap monsters that also function as effect monsters. It's got a decent attack, decent defense, but I don't think it's going to be holding off much. But while it's in the monster zone, it protects all your Altergeist traps from being destroyed by card effects, and neither player can target them. So pretty useful card here. It's also a spellcaster, so the first thing I thought, you could tribute this bad boy for Silent Magician. Now another thing too is that, you know, we were talking about Marionetter being a +1. So this is just more ways to gain off of it. You can also, another card I was thinking of is Magic Planner. So naturally this seems like an easy card to summon if you're just going to be tributing it off or utilizing it to defend yourself. Altergeist Camouflage. So normal trap, but what it does, upon activation you can equip it to a Altergeist monster, and then pretty much it cannot be attacked. It can't be targeted for attacks, but that means that your opponent can still attack you directly. So it seems like quite the downside. It's kind of like having Legendary Fisherman, right? But any monster effect that targets the equipped monster will be automatically negated. So we got this monster that can't be attacked, nor can it be targeted by monster effects. Also, while it's in the graveyard, it can banish to protect the Altergeist monster from being destroyed by a card effect or battle. So this card keeps getting more and more interesting, but with the way it's worded with the parenthesis on cards, it can actually protect from multiple targets in a single activation. Cough, cough, Black Rose Dragon, stuff like that, that does mass targeting. You'll be able to protect all of it with one camouflage activation. So you got a trap monster, and you have a card that protects you from being targeted for attacks or monster effects. So naturally, if you're just using this on Marionetter, it doesn't really sound that interesting. So now that we understand these traps and stuff like that, let's see if these monsters actually help with this. So Marionetter is able to search out some battle tech from Battle Destruction, and is able to search out a trap monster. So these guys have a generic level 6 synchro who goes by the name Altergeist Dragvirion. Now Dragvirion's pretty cool because it is a generic level 6 synchro, but when an opponent's special summon monster attacks, you can return the Altergeist monster on the field to the hand and negate the attack. So first thing I think is bounce the Marionetter back to the hand. Now I'm seeing more pluses with this deck. So you know, opener would be like summon Altergeist Marionetter, maybe search the camouflage, and then when you get the Gravirion on the field and your opponent's special summon monster attack, you return the Marionetter and then resummon it later on to search for, you know, whatever you want. But the second effect is what makes this card so juicy to me. And pretty much, if it's tributed and sent to the graveyard, you know, if it's you or your opponent, it can special summon itself right away. So first cards I think of, you know, Share the Pain, Silent Magician, all easy ways to use this card's effect. And I'm pretty sure there's more econ stuff like that, but you know, I just want you guys to understand generally how his effect works. Now in the archetype itself, I did not see any tuners, so quick and easy way to summon it with Wielder and Tracker. Wielder Tracker into this guy, free level 6. You get protection from, you know, special summon monsters attacking you. You get to reuse your effects. You get to really generally just gain advantage with this deck. I'm curious how well this card will hold off with its measly 2200 attack. I guess you'd have to protect it with the camouflage and things like that. Also, you can bounce the Emulate Leaf too with its effect. Altergeist Vanilla Lag. Also a dark spellcaster. He's very minuscule, no attack, weak defense. But how this card works, it's sort of like a ward. It protects all your Altergeist monsters from being targeted for artifacts or battle, you know, being attacked in battle. Now, when I say ward, it basically means that he's trying to force all those effects that your opponent would do onto himself. So I guess that suggests why it has such a weak defense and attack. But I think the camouflage works perfect with this card. If you ever put the camouflage on this card, then the Vanilla Lag is able to protect all your monsters from being targeted for attacks, and this kind of diverts the camouflage effect where if your opponents attack you directly, so they won't be able to attack you directly if you could put another monster which Vanilla Lag would protect you from. But other than that, it doesn't really offer anything more than just that. Now, everything sounds interesting without this card, so maybe it won't be in the build, but there's definitely some synergies with Vanilla Lag. You love them, you hate them. Spellbooks. And with Spellbooks comes, I want to say this is a new boss monster, High Priestess of Prophecy. And how she works, pretty much you can reveal 3 spellbooks in your hand with special summoner from your hand. But that seems like a perfect early game opener play. Once per turn, while she's on the field, you can banish a spellbook from your hand or graveyard to destroy a card on the field. So this makes spellbooks a little bit more aggressive, and then it also takes away that limitation of the Fate had, because usually this deck would only be able to work with one monster at a time. Now you got a little bit more to deal with those swarms that this deck couldn't really handle. So High Priestess of Prophecy is really cool too, and one of the reasons why High Priestess of Prophecy is really good is because we get Temperance of Prophecy. That card basically allows you to, if you played a spellbook in your turn, you can summon a level 5 or higher light or dark spellcaster by tributing it. So this is definitely going to be an initiator for a lot of these cards. So if you activate a spell, you can summon High Priestess from your deck if you have Temperance of Prophecy. This card is really easy to summon. It's got multiple ways to put it out on the board. Scary stuff, man. Spellbook of Wisdom. Unlike most spellbook cards, this one's sort of like a minus, but what makes it so special is that target one of your spellcasters on the field. Keep in mind this card is a quick play, so you can chain it to whatever you're planning on protecting it from. It can either protect it from a spell or trap effects during that turn. So if they activated Econ on you, chain Wisdom, unaffected by spells. If they activate that Treacherous, play Wisdom, all traps, protect it from trap effects, and that's pretty much the card in its simplicity. So cool addition for those aggressive pushes. So this is how this deck is going to deal with that annoying back row, I would say. World of Prophecy. This is an interesting card right here, but perfect card, another level 9 or level 5 or higher spellcaster that's a light that's easily summoned through Temperance of Prophecy. So the way this card works, when it's summoned by the effect of a spellcaster or a spellbook card, you can add 2 spellbook cards from your graveyard to your hand, but you cannot special summon after. During the turn that you add those spellbooks, if you added them to your hand, you can reveal 4 of them with different names, destroy all the cards on the field. So it's like almost like a Judgment Dragon in a sense. But ignoring that effect, just getting the 2 spellbooks back from your graveyard to your hand, that is very strong. You have 2 ways to summon this, 2 that I point out is the Spellbook of Life and the Temperance. 2 easy ways to summon it, by the way. It's packing a 2900 attack and a field nuking ability. That is insane. That is ridiculous. So, World of Prophecy and teamed up with the High Priestess of Prophecy. This is insane. This is some insane synergies going on here. So Spellbooks can move away from that Silent Magician build, maybe not. They got some cool little tricks here just in these cards that we've seen alone. Dust off your Temperances that you got from that farm event. Dust off all those old Spellbook cards. I think just World of Prophecy, Spellbook of Wisdom, and High Priestess are going to really put this deck back on the map. I am now super excited to try this deck out. So definitely tune in some streams for that. So Spellbooks looking good right now just off those 3 cards alone. And that is my review of them.